It's very important that you hear this. We don't always talk about this all the time because everybody wants to come in the flow, but it's very important you understand the difference. Okay, as far as the combat flow, contact flow, you know, the World War II combative stuff that we teach you. So I'm just going to use Al just as an example, just to show you some things to make you understand the reality as far as when you have to actually fight for real. Okay, it's very important. You know, a lot of people are out there teaching, you know, what we call World War II combatives, very simple, very effective strikes. Well, we have, as you know, the Guided Chaos combatives, which, you know, is an extrapolation of those techniques. The biggest difference, though, obviously, is that, you know, we have a little more free-flowing dynamic with it, and I'll explain that a little more. One of the things that you'll see is everybody kind of gets the idea of strikes to the throat, okay, gouging into the eyes, driving the head back, hitting on the side of the neck, things of that nature, striking on the side of the neck, into the throat, gouging the eyes, twisting the head around, popping the head back, right, snapping the neck, driving underneath the chin while catching in the back, okay. What I'm showing here, these are tools, all these things like this. These are all tools. Here's the problem though, just because you have a hammer doesn't make you a carpenter. In other words, you can have the greatest tool in the world, but if you don't know how to use it under dynamic conditions, it doesn't matter anyway. So everybody shows these things. So if I have a situation, for example, and you know, against a static target, which by the way, you know, people rarely just stand in front of you. Nobody's just going to walk up, stand in front of you and act like this. You know, usually this is a situation where you're dealing with an interview, where it's a situation whereas, you know, there may be other people trying to maneuver on you, trying to get the drop on you while you're dealing with this individual. Okay, so this is a little unrealistic from this perspective. But for example, if he's going to throw a strike like that, all it's going to be is, I'm just going to drop in, crack his neck, and then start snapping his head off his body. Very simple, very effective stuff. One of the problems though that you'll see with some of this stuff that people show is that they automatically assume the other guy's going to do what they want to do. But that's not realistic. What if, for example, he's resistant, actively resistant? Now we got a dogfight on our hands. It's not that easy if he's actively resistant. If he's going ballistic, because remember, he probably doesn't want to get killed either. Or you're dealing with a situation, and you hear people say this all the time, just hit him in the throat, just hit him in the eyes. Well, you cannot rely on just hitting a person once in the throat, once in the eyes. You can't rely on that stuff. People are a lot tougher than you think they are. Also, if he's high on some kind of a drug, crystal meth, PCP, whatever, or he's just going ballistic on you, you can't assume that this is going to always take them out. It's going to have an effect, but it may not possibly have the effect that you want. So you got to be prepared to continually hit them over and over and over. And you got to be prepared for them to possibly withstand quite a few of these blows, okay? Now, here's the other problem that you run into with this stuff. I kind of know where I want to go with all this stuff because he's not moving. Now, let's suppose again, for example, he's trying to do the same thing to me because maybe he's been in jail, whatever the case may be, or maybe he's received some kind of training, or maybe he just knows that hitting people in the eyes and throat work. What do I do when he's doing the same thing back? You know, we're trying to fight, and all of a sudden, you know, he's trying to grab at my eyes as well as I'm trying to grab at his eyes. So that presents a problem. So this is one of the reasons why we train people not only to be able to step in and strike effectively, but also get offline and to be able to flow with what they're feeling so that they can be unavailable yet unavoidable. He's probably going to be actively resisting. I mean, nobody's just going to let you just hit them. I'm sorry, that just doesn't happen in the real world, or you can't assume it's going to happen in the real world. This is why you need to be able to adapt with and flow and improvise as you go along. You have to have that ability. So how do we develop that ability? Well, this is one of the reasons why within the Guided Chaos Close Combat and Combatives, this is why we focus on things like balance, pliability, sensitivity, and body unity. Very important things, because again, what they're showing in a lot of arts, as we do just basic straight strikes or shuto strikes, chops to the side of the neck, palm heels to the bottom of the chin, eye gouges, things of that nature, neck breaks, neck manipulations, all of these different things. What they're showing you are tools. Well, what they're not showing you is how to use the tool effectively. Like I said earlier, you know, you could be a person who owns the greatest hammer in the world, you know, gold handle, the whole 9 yards. It doesn't make you a carpenter. So what we're trying to do is make people into carpenters. Okay? So in other words, if I got a situation and I'm fighting with someone, just do whatever you want. As you can see, just by being able to flow and adapt to what he's doing, I'm able to make myself unavailable yet unavoidable. Also understand and be aware, because I'm obviously not trying to kill him, all of these things that I'm doing, these are not just basic neck manipulations, as people think. I'm going to be dropping and pulling with all my might. I'm going to be hitting with all my might as I yank his head and his neck out of the socket, okay? So, this is the reason why we emphasize doing the basic exercises. So after you do the basic exercises, one of the key exercises you got to be able to do to bring it all together is the contact flow exercise and the combat flow. Contact flow, all we're doing is developing your body. It's neuromuscular feedback, neuromuscular control and coordination. As I move with another individual, all we're doing is learning how to deal with another person's motion. The reason we move slow is so that as I'm moving with him, I can feel everything that he's doing. Remember, you can feel faster than people can move. As I touch him, I know where he is in relation to my body. He also knows where I am in relation to his body. By moving in this manner, while we're moving slow, we're still moving in an uncooperative manner. So he doesn't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what he's going to do. I feel what he's trying to do. I make myself and learn while staying on balance to be unavailable yet unavoidable to what he's doing. As you get more proficient at this, then we start adding what we call the combative strikes. We start adding that stuff in. You'll notice that our striking is very basic. And the reason we keep it basic is because it works. The simpler something is, or the simpler the tool, the more likely it is to work. The more complex, the striking tool, whatever it's going to be, the less likely it's going to work. So as we start becoming a little more combative, this is the difference between contact flow and combat flow. Now we're actually engaging in landing more effective strikes as we hit. And again, moving at a moderate pace to ensure that nobody gets hurt. However, as you can see, depending on the skill level with the individual you're working with, depends on how fast you can move. But the idea behind it is with the combat flow is, as we're hitting, we're also developing the necessary timing as we strike. If I do get hit with the combat flow because of looseness, I'm able to redirect and not absorb all of that punishment. One of the other things I want to go over is, you also, as you're doing the contact flow or combat flow, you can't be always up here thinking you're always going to be able to get your shots off. This is what we talk about being unavailable yet unavoidable. Believe it or not, hitting people is the easiest thing we teach. It's really easy. The hard part is not getting hit yourself and learning how to stay out of the way of things. This move here, this shoot-toe strike will go right through. Very difficult to stop, okay, how strong you are. So you can't always assume you're always going to get the drop on the other guy, or they're going to always just stand in front of you. If I move toward him, oh, that sucked. He moves offline. You can't assume these things. I have to have that ability. If he moves offline, then I answer the phone. I got to be able to adapt to whatever he's doing. I may take a shot in the ribs, but a shot in the ribs is a much better consolation than getting cracked across the side of the neck. Not only when I'm flowing with people and doing the contact flow or the combat flow am I trying to get my strikes in, but I'm also trying to avoid his strikes from getting in on me. And the reason we do that is because you can't always assume that you're going to be fast enough to stop anything. So as I flow, without trying to block, because it just takes too long, as I feel his strikes penetrating my defenses, I stay loose and pliable, unavailable yet unavoidable to his strikes as I move. So this is why in Guided Chaos, and all the stuff that I've been demonstrating here, how do you develop your body like that is very simple. We have a specific modality of training that helps you develop all the different attributes to get your body to be able to do that. Balance, looseness, sensitivity, body unity, all of those things. In total freedom of action, which is the fifth principle, we teach you how to be able to do those things.